Hey everyone, welcome to the second episode of our series on Nezha from Chinese mythology. Last time, we talked about Nezha's origins and birth and compare them to the adaptations in the movie Nezha. In today's video, we'll dive into the next part of his story, covering everything from his iconic weapons and magic to his conflict with the Dragon King, and finally, his self-sacrifice for redemption. I'll also sprinkle in some comparisons between the movie's adaptations and the elements that stay true to the original tale. According to the original novel, Nezha has a ton of weapons, and we can check out this short clip to see them. First up is the fire-tipped spear. Then there's the cosmic ring around his neck, and the red silk ribbon is called the sky silk. He even pulls out a gold brick and a demon sling sword from his pocket. And he's riding on winged fire wheels, but despite having so many weapons, the ones that shows up the most in movies and TV are the fire-tipped spear, cosmic ring, sky silk, and winged fire wheels. These four have become iconic symbols of Nezha. Of course, most of these magical items were gifts from his mentor, Taiyi Zhenren. The winged fire wheels are flying magical treasures transformed from two mythical birds. One spins to create wind, and the other spins to shoot fire. Hence the name. But these days, movies have given them all sorts of makeovers. Like here, at first glance, I thought it was Iron Man jet boots. In the movie Nezha, this magic item can even change its form based on its owner. Under Nezha's feet is the winged fire wheels, but for his mentor Taiyi Zhenren, it turns into a pig. The fire-tipped spear is forged from divine metal, with anti-evil runes carved on it, and the tip can shoot up flames. The cosmic ring might look like a small golden bracelet, but it holds the power of the universe and is incredibly destructive. It can change size as well, turning into a massive golden ring to lock onto targets or smash directly into enemies. Unlike other movie adaptations in this film, the cosmic ring is actually a color used to surprise Nezha's demonic nature. The sky silk is a red silk ribbon that's super soft but crazy strong. It can stretch or shrink however Nezha wants. It can also tap enemies on its own and even whip up storms and huge waves. I think it's a lot like Doctor Strange's red cape. They're both magical tools used for support and control. Now, let's talk about Nezha's classic spell, 3 heads and 6 arms. Almost every movie and TV show has its own take on this power. We mentioned before that Nezha's image comes from ancient Indian Buddhism, where he originally looked fierce with 3 heads and 6 arms. After being introduced to China, novelists localized and transformed him into a lovable child character. What was really clever was turning 3 heads and 6 arms into one of Nezha's magical abilities. It's kind of like how science transformed into super science, giving him a big boost in fighting power. Alright, so here comes the story of Nezha causing trouble in the sea. But before that, let's talk about the Dragon King. In ancient Chinese mythology, he's the god in charge of rain. People used to pray to him when they needed rain. Now, Nezha's hometown had been dry for ages, and both the people and crops were desperate for water, so they started praying for rain. But the local Dragon King wasn't happy with just livestock like pigs, sheep, and cows as offerings. He even went as far as demanding Nezha's father to sacrifice young boys and girls in exchange for rain. As it happened, Nezha and his buddies were playing by the sea when they ran into the Dragon King's minions trying to snatch people. This led to a clash. Nezha quickly sent them packing. The Dragon King then sent his son to fight Nezha, but Nezha, being a reincarnated deity with loads of magical weapons, was way too strong. The Dragon King's son didn't stand a chance and was not only defeated but also killed by Nezha. The Dragon King was furious and came to confront Nezha's father, Li Jing, to hold him accountable. Li Jing was visibly nervous when the Dragon King demanded that Li Jing kill Nezha as an eye for an eye. Li Jing actually drew his sword against Nezha, even though he couldn't bring himself to go through with it. This action deeply saddened Nezha. Since the Dragon King didn't get what he wanted, he threatened to go to the Heavenly Court to ask the Jade Emperor for justice. Realizing the trouble he had caused, Nezha decided to seek help from his master, Taiyi Zhenren. return. Following his master's advice, Nezha intercepted the Dragon King at the entrance to the Heavenly Court and gave him a good beating. Unable to beat Nezha, the Dragon King had to temporarily back down and pretended to agree not to file any complaints. After freeing himself, the Dragon King summoned the other 3 Dragon Kings to confront Li Jin. The 4 Dragon Kings flew through the clouds and quickly arrived over the city. In no time, the sky was filled with dark clouds, lightning, and thunder, plunging the whole city into darkness. The Dragon Kings threatened Li Jin, demanding he hand over Nezha, or they flood the entire city. As gods controlling rain and the seas, they quickly whipped up massive waves and poured down heavy rain, putting the entire city in serious danger. Nezha looked up at the stormy sky, then at the houses submerged by floods, and the panicked townspeople. A look of determination flashed in his eyes, not wanting to implicate his parents or see the townspeople suffer any longer. Nezha drew his sword and sacrificed himself. As Nezha fell, the Dragon King retreated, the clouds dispersed, the rain ceased, and the floodwaters receded. However, before leaving, the Dragon King demanded that the city sacrifice a boy and girl each year to honor his son. In the modern film Nezha, there's a big twist from the original tale. In the classic story, the Dragon King's son, Ao Bing, is a villain with a brief appearance and gets killed by Nezha pretty quickly. But in the new film, Nezha is portrayed as the reincarnation of a demon pearl, while Ao Bing is the reincarnation of a spirit pearl, making them both main characters. Their first meeting is full of drama and conflict. Nezha is chasing after a demon who kidnapped a little girl all the way to the seaside. That's when Ao Bing shows up, stops the demon, and saves the girl. Nezha isn't thrilled about Ao Bing's entrance, thinking he stole his thunder. In fact, Nezha believes he could have saved the girl on his own. Just as they're bickering, the demon attacks again. They drop their argument, team up, and defeat the demon together. Because of his demon pearl identity, Nezha is shunned by the villagers and feels lonely. Ao Bing, on the other hand, carries the burden of being the spirit pearl reincarnation with the expectation to revive his dragon clan, which also makes him feel pressured and isolated. Despite the initial misunderstandings and clashes, the sheer sense of loneliness ends up bringing them together as friends. Next is the story of Nezha's resurrection, where I'll share how his master revives him and his quest for revenge against the Dragon King in the new movie adaptation. After Nezha befriends the Dragon King's son, they face life and death challenges together, becoming each other's most important allies.